What's up, guys? It's Benny. The fallout from the Epstein saga nightmare crisis for the Trump administration continues to boil over into absolute chaos inside of federal law enforcement in Washington, D.C., with Dan Bongino saying that he will resign if Pam Bondi stays on as Attorney General. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Kash Patel as well, saying that he is going to leave if Bongino leaves. You can either pick. It's either Bongino or Bondi. The pick is obvious. Bondi must go, says Megyn Kelly, ladies and gentlemen. Kash Patel rumored to also be considering resignation if Pam Bondi stays on, as according to reporting here. Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi have sparred over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files, and it looks like Bongino and Kash are done being humiliated. Bongino is reportedly furious with Attorney General Pam Bondi over her handling of the Epstein files, which has led to many to believe he could walk off the job. A source close to Bongino says that he's effectively issued an ultimatum, saying he's about to clean out his desk if Pam stays on. Bongino left a lucrative career in broadcasting to take this job. Ladies and gentlemen, the entire internet is taking one side here. I'm not sure about Kash leaving, but the report that Dan Bongino is cleaning up after Pam Bondi is 100% accurate, and he's done. It comes after months of frustrations. I have airtight multiple sourcing on this. Dan isn't the only one who feels this way. Kash and Dan for months have tried to get Pam to understand the importance of full transparency in her department, especially on the Epstein stuff, for reasons becoming apparent. It's fallen on deaf ears, and Pam is giving multiple avenues to pursue and infinite examples of people who need to be brought in front of a special counsel. She has refused to budge every single time. This is a real nightmare. Susie Wiles, a long-standing close and personal friend of Pam's, in the event that Trump would consider keeping Dan and maybe Kash if he wants out too. It's likely that his chief of staff will recommend against it. Layers of problems. I don't think Bongino is going back to the office on Monday if something doesn't happen to Pam. Or even a special counsel search announced, perhaps. It would represent a massive victory for the swamp and indeed sex traffickers and predators. Letting Kash and Dan walk while keeping Pam cover-up Bondi would be the cause of total revolt from the base. That's a matter of fact. It would be a disaster for the midterms, and there's no universe where that can happen without major blowback. She's distracting from huge wins. She simply has to go. Kash Patel now considering leaving also. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, big fans of Kash and Dan. On this channel, I know them both personally. I know them to be of upstanding character with huge hearts, both of them. Chaos as Kash Patel and Dan Bongino consider quitting over the Epstein files. Nightmare. A nightmare that was, of course, leaked to left-wing media, leaked to Axios. An unsigned memo. The exact opposite of what the administration said they were going to do on the Epstein issue, case, clients, all of it covered up. It's true. This is now a matter of fact that it was covered up. It's a nightmare. Sources close to Bongino tell me it's either him or Pam Bondi, and he will not stay at the FBI if she stays at the DOJ. And a source close to the DOJ says Kash Patel also wants Pam Bondi gone. He'd consider leaving if Bongino leaves. More frustration with the documents that Bondi hasn't released. Sources confirm to me the blow-up between Bongino and Bondi are very real. It's been brewing for months and came to a head at the White House. He's not been in office. He's not been in the office since Wednesday, it looks like. Some said he left the office on Friday. Now it looks like Wednesday. Most of the frustration in the FBI relates to the handling of the Epstein disclosures and disputes on how to proceed. Bongino appears ready to resign immediately if Bondi remains in office. Goodness gracious. If Bondi's fired, the role of Attorney General then floated potentially to Ron DeSantis. Wow. Private push behind the scenes. Potentially see Ken Paxton there. Goodness. However, the discussion has been taking place for several months about who could be Bondi's replacement if she was ever fired or resigned. It would be a huge loss for the country if we lost Dan Bongino at the FBI. That's a matter of fact. Dan Bongino will not stay. Pam must be fired. This is not negotiable. I stand with Dan Bongino. A lot of people are making this stance, including some people we deeply respect. Glenn Beck and Steve Bannon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll leave you with them as this is all just breaking news, and we have to head out and go give a speech at Turning Point event. So there's all the headline that we have. Glenn Beck and Steve Bannon making a impassioned plea to please not let Dan Bongino go. Fire Pam Bondi. Keep Dan Bongino, please. Listen to the beating heart of MAGA, Steve Bannon, and one of the president's close personal allies and friends, Glenn Beck. Here we go.
I got a comment on what's happening in Washington with Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi. A direct plea to President Trump. Please, President Trump, I know you're not involved at this level. I know that you are busy working on huge, huge projects, but America can't lose Dan Bongino. He has so much credibility. Everybody knows him, loves him. Pam Bondi has created so much doubt and chaos in this whole thing. There's no reason for all of this. You know, either it's a massive cover-up or she's just fouled this up every single time. Please, let's not lose Dan Bongino. If there's a choice, I hope not, but please, fire Pam Bondi. Keep Dan Bongino, please.
Okay, so breaking news. Kash Patel is being reported that Kash Patel has notified that if Dan Bongino resigns because of Pam Bondi's mishandling of which he's now publicly saying is Pam Bondi's mishandling of the Epstein files, that he, Kash Patel, will step down as director of the FBI to follow Dan. If I can just give you the way I think the system works, right? I assume that Dan and Kash got some sign-off before they made those statements, right? I don't think those are random statements.
I'm going to cut things a little bit.
Here's why why do you think there's movement right now? Is there movement from this afternoon from yesterday? You agree that there's movement? You can see movement? You know why there's movement? No, special prosecutor. You've raised the stakes and said, we want a special prosecutor. We won't take anything else. We want to directly report to the United States. And now you're seeing the machinery starting to work. Well, upon further review, right? So do you guys still want a special prosecutor? Do you want you don't want Dan and Kash to resign, right? Remember how hard it was to get Kash confirmed? Remember how many, first off, you guys did Bobby Kennedy, Pete Hegseth. Wow, Pete's going to be here this afternoon, I think. Bobby Kennedy, Pete Hegseth, Kash Patel, Tulsi Gabbard. We had no easy ones, right? There were no easy ones. Could we have gotten Matt Gaetz confirmed as Attorney General? You think so? Did Matt Gaetz get tossed to the wayside too early?